process. Now, there is a lot of information on the internet on what a resume should be, and there you'll find many blogs, you'll find many videos on YouTube perhaps. But I will share what I have found is most relevant based on my experience and also talking to friends and colleagues like Pankul and Navneet and everyone else associated with academician. Now, resume is basically your short advertisement. Especially nowadays, if you go to YouTube, you know that there is that initial ad that comes before a video. And it is sort of like that, where if your resume is not attractive enough, that will get skipped. And you have to make sure that your advertisement is good enough for them to go through the whole thing and read and give you a chance. Now, there are many things and many suggestions on what you write in your resume, but for any typical undergraduate or a graduate student, you write 3 things. And this is what you want to highlight in your resume: your academic background and achievements, your professional experience, and your leadership and extracurriculars. Typically, that's what we had, for example, when I was an undergrad. And these were the 3 sections in my resume. Now, the important thing is, how do you really write it and how do you express it and how do you order it even? For example, if I want to apply to a university or even a job, I would want to highlight the most relevant experiences first and then go down to the less relevant ones. And this is also an art of realizing what is relevant and what is not, but you can get a good idea. What I have seen many times is many students, they send resume for review and they would write everything in a chronological order. They would just write, this is the latest project that they did, and the one before that, the one before that. But that's not really selling yourself. That's not really advertising. That's just a list of projects. I want to see an order that makes sense and that would really be applicable to the place you're applying for. Similarly, for professional experience and leadership. And there are ways to do all of this. And obviously we can have a separate session for a resume later. The second thing is definitely get a review about your resume. Now, this document, I feel, is the most susceptible to personal bias because you would spend hours writing a resume and you would spend hours reflecting on your life and trying to get it as best as possible. So you think that you have it right. But I have seen and I have experienced myself and with other friends as well, that once you write your resume and then send it to someone for review, you just get many comments that can really improve your resume. So it is very susceptible to personal bias. Make sure that you get it reviewed. There can be problems in the way you express yourself, formatting, and many other things. Secondly, get feedback from trusted and people who are able, people who can actually give you good feedback. It is very important. If you take feedback from someone that doesn't really have the expertise or doesn't really have the experience, it can backfire on you. And I think it happened to a friend of mine in undergrad. He wrote something that he shouldn't have, and it really backfired. The most common way to write something in your resume is known as a star method. You will find many references to this on the internet, but this is a really nice guideline on how to craft each point in your resume. There are just 4 parts to it. It's called situation, task, action, and result, the star method. And if you follow that guideline while writing a project, that would be very helpful to you. Secondly, there are many things that I've personally seen people do not focus on, and I'll give you an example in the next slide on that, where people don't write, for example, what is the thing they actually did properly. They don't quantify what they did, and the language is sort of lackluster.